Good evening, fellow comers. Once again, it's me, Troy Halley, and today we're going to be going over quite a lot between chapters 6 and I believe 9. And we're going to be covering critical theory. We're going to cover a couple of case studies and readings we have. We're also going to cover embellishments and realistic expectations in the hiring process. And we're going to touch upon superiors and subordinates and how different things relate to their relationships. Since there is so much, we're just going to jump right into it, okay? What is critical theory? Critical theory is a viewpoint that an organization is a place of domination where what the dominant party wants is placed above the interest of the subordinate groups. The dominant party is normally the management, and the subordinate groups is normally the labor force or the workers. But it's not always that case. Critical theory is really about control base, and that control comes from power bases. And the example of power is pretty much a person or a group getting another person or group to do something that they normally would not do. An example of power would be like my son. My little one, hates doing dishes. So if left to his own devices, he would never wash a dish. So I tell him to wash a dish, I make him wash a dish. And that's me exerting control using the power I have to take away the things he likes. And that power is always in effect. The control is always in effect. As long as I have the ability to take away what he wants, he'll wash the dishes on his own. Sometimes I have to remind him, for the most part, he washes the dishes. He's not washing them because he wants to. He's washing them because I have the power to coerce him to. We're also going to touch upon hegemony. I hope I say that right. Hegemony is based on ideology. And ideology is pretty much the values, beliefs, and that is held by the dominant group. Well, hegemony is when subordinates willingly act upon that ideology of the dominant group. So, for example, my oldest son, we instilled cleaning kitchen values, the dominant group, and now he does not like a dirty kitchen, so he cleans it on himself. You know, he won't wait to be told what to do. That is that would be hegemony. And then there's I'm trying to say it right. Coercive control. Coercive control is when the group itself pretty much gets together and they make the norms and the values. And so because they make the norm and the values, they follow it far more strictly because they're invested in it. It's like a club. You know, there's a club, some guys get together and make a club, and they make rules. It's like Fight Club. They make rules to Fight Club, and because they're part of Fight Club, they help build Fight Club, they vehemently stuck to the rules of the Fight Club. So, now, I'm going to talk a little bit about how I felt about Emma Watson's video. I found Emma Watson's video extremely important and profound. I think she is what feminism should be, you know, because I'm a firm believer I'm a firm disbeliever in double standards in any capacity. I believe that everybody should have a fair playing field. I don't mean equality means the best for everybody. I believe that equality means opportunities for everybody, equal opportunities. And what Emma Watson is discussing is that opportunities should be equal for everybody, for males and females, and that one person cannot make those opportunities happen, not one group. So that women have to open up the doors and allow men to help them erase some of the gender inequalities in the world. One thing I also like that she talked about is that she really focused on rights for women. She didn't focus on what a woman should be or what a woman should do. She wanted equal rights. She wanted to open the doors to allow women to do what they want to do. And a lot of American feminists focus more on what is supposed to be for a woman and less on the equality aspect. So that was refreshing to see somebody, because she felt equality not just for women, but everybody. It's just that in most cases, women aren't treated fairly. And I agree with that. The third thing we're going to touch upon is the article Workplace Culture of Fear. Wait a second. Okay, the article Workplace Culture of Fear shows that employees need to understand organizational culture and critical theory to understand how power works. Learning how power works is really important. There's also how they can affect change of the culture, of the organization's culture, and as well as how to control what works and how they can affect the power base. Because, I mean, honestly, subordinates can affect the power base. They can adjust it, they can adjust the control because they are a part of the organization. So depending on how important elements of the organization are, they can actually adjust the way the organizational culture is run. And, so they need to understand this and need to understand critical theory so they can understand how power works. I like the article, how Netflix changes corporate climate. I thought it was interesting because Miss Patty McCormick gained her position in a unique aspect because Netflix was kind of unique. Netflix wasn't born with their climate already in place and they had this great idea. Netflix was a failing company. So when the owner, the other guy decided to be CEO and took her along, they didn't need traditional human resources because they didn't have traditional issues. Number one, they only had 30 employees. They didn't have a lot of money. They were broke. So the organization was failing. So they needed to care about the organization more than they needed to care about benefits for them. And she cared enough that she even was going to fire herself to save the company money. So because she put the company first and the CEO put the company first, they expected all of their employees to put the company first. And that's was the culture that they began to build. So Netflix, expected everybody to put Netflix first. All the leaders placed Netflix first. They use coercive control. All Netflix employees expected employees to stick to the values of the company, and anybody who didn't, they let them go. And the people can understand that, they recognize that this was different. She didn't consider herself a human resources person. She considered herself a business person who just really cared about the company she worked for. Now, fifth question was, in the case study we looked at, what was the ultimate lesson? Pretty much the ultimate lesson of the case study was that, the ultimate lesson was that there was a lack of interest in investment from the top down. And that was the real core issue, that there was no communication because there was no culture, there was no consistency, no values instilled to the company. And so the lesson that, in my opinion, the ultimate lesson is that positive culture must be fostered through the communication. And that communication has to come from the top all the way down to the lowest employees so everybody can understand what the vision is for the company and can have pride in the company and care about the company. And then they're going to be able to communicate better because they're going to be putting themselves, their stake in the company. So I'm kind of going fast. Excuse me. So, have I ever been I have never been in a situation, honestly, I've never been in a situation that, I remember a time where I did not represent myself well for an interview or when applying for a job. A lot of cases, it just, I applied well, but either I was just not, they felt that I wouldn't stay for the job or that I was overqualified for the job. So, but I've never been to where I misrepresented myself for a job. Now, I have been in situations where I was hired by a company or part of a company and they misrepresented my role. This is one of my Army stories where I was recruited by a company when I was deployed. I was a surplus soldier, and so this company wanted somebody to come and manifest their soldiers, which means I pretty much put them on flights in and out of Iraq. And so they asked me to come over, and when I came over there, instead of just manifesting soldiers all day, they wanted me to do all of the human resources. You know, even though they had human resources people, their people weren't that good and they wanted me to do it for them. And that was a big misrepresentation, and it was a very heavy workload because I pretty much did what I was normally do, plus a whole nother job. And so after about a month, I went back to my old company, and because I just didn't, it wasn't right what it was doing to me. Okay. There are a few reasons why applicants may embellish their application materials. One of the main reasons, the biggest reason, is to get the job, because the job markets are so competitive that, you know, they feel like they have to embellish a little bit just to get on. Another reason could be is trying to get more money, because the more qualifications, the more you seem to know, the more people are willing to pay you for that knowledge. And another reason could be the diversity in the culture. They may embellish the fact or stretch the truth about how much knowledge they have on a certain culture, and they may really have this knowledge about the culture of the place or of the company. Number 9, if a potential employer Googled me, they would notice two things. The first thing they would notice is that I'm not prevalent on Google. You have to go down several pages. There are a lot of Troy Halleys, and I'm one of the lower ones. But if they did run across my actual name that applied to me, they will find out that I was a military personnel. There's a couple of articles about me on Google, about just things I've done or pictures or just announcements dealing with the military. But that's the only thing I really have on Google. I had a Facebook page, but it got deleted, and my new page is not really under my name, so they can't find me on Facebook, on Google. Okay. Next question is, it pretty much deals with the article Navigating the Limits of a Smile. What they wanted to know is what question did I feel that still need to be addressed in this case. And the one question I felt needed to be addressed in the case is that they really didn't talk about why people intentionally perform the actions that they act, particularly when they expected unfavorable outcomes. I thought that they should have delved more into the whys of people's actual intentional actions. Okay, I'm running low on time, so I'm gonna kind of speed up a little bit. A superior, when it comes to strategic ambiguity between superiors and subordinates, a superior might use strategic ambiguity to motivate the workers and allow them to find their own positive means, because taking out certain words or details can make the workers, think what they want to think and come up with their own motivation. And self-motivation, I know from a fact, is very important. It also can build strong relationships with the subordinates because they don't have to actually criticize them. They can help let the subordinates come to their own conclusions about their work and about their supervisor. And subordinates may use use strategic ambiguity to ease the stress and the drama of having to debate or have an issue with the superior. They can be able to talk about some things with the superior and let the superior figure out the problems on their own instead of them having to bring the problems up. Okay, question 13. It states, think of an instance when I practice upward distortion. I guess I should admit it, but I've done it quite frequently in my military career. I will, when I have an issue, I need to leave early for a family reason, or I generally distort it, making it more favorable in my favor. My son might be a little more trouble at school than he really was, or it might be a little more sicker than the cold that he has. So I wouldn't not tell the truth. I would just embellish it a little bit and distort the information to get what I need accomplished. And that's really what it is, just to get what I need accomplished. And it most often always works. Okay. Trust. Trust is vital to a superior-subordinate relationship, because honestly, whenever two people have a relationship, whether it's superior-subordinate or it's a personal relationship, if you're invested in a relationship, you're always vulnerable. And so trust bridges the gap of being vulnerable. It lessens it. It makes it easier to not worry about if the superior subordinate is going to fail you, because you have that trust there. And that is very, very important in life, is to be able to put yourself out there or let a part of you go and hoping that this other person will cover you. So yeah, trust is extremely important. And the last subject we're going to talk about is immediacy. Okay, immediacy is important and also in a superior subordinate role. Madoff and his crew define immediacy as any communication that indicates interpersonal warmth and closeness. It pretty much speeds up the building trust process because it shows concern. If I have an issue and my superior shows concern, then I'm gonna trust him a lot sooner than if he didn't show concern, and vice versa. If he has some corporate issues that he lays on me, and I jump through with vigor and show that I'm concerned about his issues and I'm concerned about the company, then he's gonna trust me a lot sooner to take on other details and variables in the company. So today we covered critical thinking, the superior subordinate relationship, several case studies and readings and articles. I hope you enjoyed this and you have a good night.